Hello and welcome to another edition of ProtoMet Tries, and in today's video I'm going to be trying Dongwon's cheese topokki, which I'm wondering if topokki is just another way of spelling Topokki? Topokki? I'm not terribly familiar with Korean or how to pronounce stuff. I mean, it kind of looks like Topokki. Probably mispronouncing that. But this is apparently traditional Korean rice cake with cheese and spicy sauce. Since I've never had topokki or tteokbokki before, I'm actually not sure what to expect from this. But I do actually have another tteokbokki to try. So if I like this, I might enjoy that. Anyway, there's really only one way to be sure, and that's to give it a shot in 3, 2, 1. I technically still have to stir this, and they conveniently provided a tiny fork to do it, but I'm going to use a spoon. I was actually expecting this to have a more soupy consistency, because it does kind of look like it's got that kind of consistency on the cover. But it's actually pretty thick. And to be honest, I thought that these pieces on here were just going to be like thick noodles or something. But when I opened this up, the clear package that they had, first off, had one of these silica packets to ensure freshness, which surprised me, but also they looked like styrofoam pellets. Now grant, I'm not going to use that to knock the taste, because I don't know. Maybe they taste absolutely delicious. I was also a bit surprised as to how little water you actually had to get in here, because if you look, you'll see about how high the water actually got with the seasoning mixed in, and it's noticeably below the top line. And also, they had said to use this as a coaster while microwaving. A lot of stuff I was not anticipating. I was actually expecting it to fill out the cup a bit more, but I assume that for this picture here, they just took it out of here and put it in a smaller bowl to make it seem like there's more in here than there actually is. But I do have to say that while pouring the sauce powder in here, it actually tasted pretty cheesy, and it also smelled a bit familiar. It smelled cheesy, but also a bit familiar. But now that I'm kind of looking at it a bit and smelling it a bit more, it actually smells a bit tomatoey. And here is one of the, I wanted to say noodles, but these are actually rice cakes. They look like noodles, but yeah, rice cakes. We're going to try one. Let's see how spicy this is, how cheesy it is. But yeah, even from a distance, you can kind of smell a somewhat tomatoey, almost pizza sauce type smell, with like some cheese added into it. It's actually a pretty pleasant smell. It kind of reminds me of like, say, canned pasta. Like, say, canned spaghetti or SpaghettiOs or something to that, akin to that. Let's give it a taste. Chewy. Those are chewy. The rice cakes have a consistency of a kind of gum consistency, but not the taste. While you can fairly easily break up the rice cake in it, it does take a bit of chewing to break it down into smaller bits to be easier to swallow. And the sauce tastes fine. You can kind of taste the sauce trying to be spicy, but it's not terribly spicy. It also doesn't taste terribly cheesy. But I do kind of wonder if, since I've never had tteokbokki without cheese, I don't know what the how to compare it to. Like maybe it's just the tteokbokki sauce in general is a bit more prominent of a flavor than the cheese. I wouldn't say that it necessarily tastes like, say, a tomato paste, like I was kind of expecting it to based on the smell. And I will say, the more of this I have, the spicier it does get. But it's not a terribly intense spicy. Though it definitely has that accumulative effect that, you know, I tend to experience when having more and more of a spicy thing. I don't want to say that it tastes like it's in some sort of hot sauce, or anything like that. But it does kind of come across that a bit. It is an interesting experience, and I'm certainly willing to try more tteokbokki or tteokbokki, depending on whether or not those are actually the same thing. I don't know. It does still kind of feel a bit weird in my mouth to have this kind of like gummy consistency for the rice cake, but I guess that's, you know, something I'll have to get used to with this kind of stuff. Again, I can't quite pinpoint what the exact flavor is. The cheese flavor does kind of get lost in all of it. Again, it doesn't really taste like a tomato sauce. Maybe it's the attempt at having a spicy taste that gets mixed in, kind of overpowering it, while at the same time not quite being spicy, or provided you have only like one bit or something. It certainly is interesting. I am a bit surprised. Again, I am a bit surprised at how little of it are actually in this, but this is a case where you get the cup, but you have to add literally all the ingredients, which come prepackaged, except of course the silica packet, which you do not add. Do not eat silica packets. Throw it away. I actually think that it coming with its own fork may have been a bit helpful in this, because just poke one, get it in your mouth. Though if you want to go with the spoon method, like I did, that's perfectly viable. This would probably pick up a few more pieces at once. Which utensil you decide to use is completely up to you. And I would say that I might not pick this up again. Specifically, I do want to try a couple more Topokki or Topokki. See if I can find some, more appetizing flavors. I'm not going to say I wouldn't have this again. I just probably wouldn't pick it up for work like I do with some of these cup stuff. That having been said, I don't think it's necessarily a bad option if you want to, take something that you could just put some water in, pop in the microwave for a few minutes. It does actually have some different microwaving times based on the relative temperature of the water and the wattage of the microwave. But who realistically just automatically knows what wattage their microwave is? I've probably talked about it before. There have probably been a number of videos. Another thing that kind of is dissuading me from wanting to pick this up again is the requisite California cancer warning. Specifically says, California warning, risk of cancer from exposure to lead and reproductive harm from exposure to lead. And then it has a website to go check out. Why is it that a lot of these Asian foods seem to have lead or carcinogens in them? I mean, I know California is particularly strict on this, which fair on them. That's perfectly fine. But yeah, I will likely finish this, but I'm not sure if I'd necessarily pick it up again. Again, I want to try some other varieties of this, some other flavors. The next one I'm going to try isn't a base flavor of Topokki or Topokki. We're assuming they're the same thing, but it's definitely a more specialized flavor. Like I kind of feel like this maybe was a sort of base flavor for this. I could be wrong because I've never had Topokki, so I have no frame of reference. But it's not bad. I think the thing that's most getting me isn't so much the peculiar taste. It's not an unpleasant taste. I think that the thing that's really holding me back is the kind of like gummy fruit snack consistency of the rice cakes. Truth be told, I'm not a fan of gummy snacks. I just don't care for the feel of them in my mouth. The taste can be fine, but just kind of the gummy consistency in my mouth, it just feels off. Makes it feel like I'm going to have a hard time swallowing it. And because of how squishy it is, it's hard to chew. So that on its own may end up being the deciding factor on whether or not I have any more Topokki or Topokki beyond this. Who knows? Maybe I'll encounter a flavor of this that manages to exceed this obstacle I'm coming across. But yeah, if you're interested, give it a shot. And until next time, I'm ProtoMet. See ya.